Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions become your destiny." Essentially, what you believe determines what you achieve. For many years, I believed a very simple story about myself. I was not good enough. I wasn't smart enough, not athletic enough, not confident enough, not tall enough. I believed I didn't belong. And worst of all, that my shame and my cowardice was unforgivable. Life provided many examples of proof. When I was 7, my mother suffered her first suicide attempt and emotional breakdown, followed by many others. He spent much of my childhood in and out of hospitals. My father coped as best he could, usually by disappearing into his work. And for a time, my two brothers and I lived with my grandparents, where discipline was spelled with fear and violence. But the hardest place of all was school. From the 4th to 6th grade, a particular gang of boys had decided that I would be their daily entertainment. And for years, they relentlessly teased me, tormented me, hurt me, and one day, I broke. It was the last day before Christmas break in 6th grade. You might remember those days. As a kid, excitement buzzing, eyes glued to the clock on the wall, waiting for that 3 o'clock alarm bell. Freedom was just one bell away, but when that bell rang for me, it didn't signal freedom. It signaled a decision that shaped the next 25 years of my life. That morning, I had walked to school with this red package with a shiny white bow, and inside were these small glider planes that you could shoot with a blowgun, and they'd soar like 30 feet. It was amazing. And I just knew that any kid would love these. And so we had that Secret Santa exchange that day, and for once, I was hopeful I would win them over. When the names were drawn, the lead bully, Brett, pulled my name. He opened the gift and held it up and sneered, "What a stupid baby toy!" The class roared. When the teacher stepped out for a moment, Brett held the gift up, threw it down on the ground, stomped it into pieces, and then tossed it into the trash. Two boys shoved me backward over the desks, laughing, and what I remember most wasn't the pain. It was the sound of that laughter. Then the bell rang. Everyone rushed out, and one boy came back. He had a soft voice and gave a gentle touch to my back. He said, "I'm sorry they were so mean." And then after he left, I realized something. He hadn't patted my back with his hand. It was a chalkboard eraser. White chalk dust covered my hair, my clothes, my dignity. That was the moment. I made a choice. I would never trust anyone again. That decision worked pretty well for me. I became fiercely independent, untouchable, completely invisible. I was lonely, but safe. And that worked for well over a dozen years. And in my 20s, I was finally coming to terms with who I was and being gay. And for the first time, I had built a trusted circle of friends. I even fell in love. Then the AIDS epidemic happened. Friends began dying. I was diagnosed with and told I would be next. Then Bruce, the man that I loved, died in my arms. I still remained open, and 2 years later, I took a risk and fell in love again. He died too. Each loss confirmed the same message. This world isn't safe. Stay closed. But years later, I found a personal development program, More to Life. And I remember standing in front of that group, sharing my tragic story. I'm a victim. Life is just against me. I have to protect myself all the time. The trainer, Anne, stopped me, and she asked, "Who told you that story. I got a bit defensive, and I started listing everyone who had ever hurt me, every time I'd ever been hurt. And she shook her head and said softly, "No, who keeps repeating it?" And helped me to realize that there's a massive difference between what happens to you and the story your mind makes up about it. The facts were real. I had been bullied. I lost people I loved. But the story that I told myself, that I was broken and destined to suffer, was a lie. I wasn't a victim. I was a survivor. But then I realized something even bigger. Surviving is automatic. Thriving is a choice. Through the program, I began rewriting my story. Instead of saying, "I'm not enough," I disavowed the lies and told the truth. I am resilient. I am capable. Many of us are living inside stories that we created years ago. Stories shaped by pain or fears that whisper, "You don't belong. Don't risk getting hurt again." But those stories are not facts. They're just interpretations. And if you change your interpretation, you change your life. The bell that rang in that sixth grade classroom didn't imprison me. My interpretation of it did. That 11-year-old boy chose to shut down to survive. He didn't know any better. But the man standing before you today makes a different choice every single day. I choose to open up, to connect, to turn pain into purpose. And that makes all the difference. Life will hand all of us moments of loss and heartbreak. But those moments don't have to define us. The story we tell about them does. So change that story. That boy who once stood in a classroom covered in chalk dust, believing he was nothing. Today, I stand here knowing the truth, that surviving is automatic, but thriving is a choice.